silence of her workshop any longer. She walked up the mountain path as the sun began to set. She came to a small hermitage where an old nun lived, a woman known for her quiet wisdom. Mara, her voice choked with despair, explained her predicament. The old nun listened patiently, her eyes as calm as a deep forest pool. When Mara had finished, the nun did not offer advice or solutions. She simply said, "Come, let us watch the sunset." They sat together on a rock overlooking the valley. The sky was a canvas of brilliant oranges, deep purples, and soft pinks. It was breathtakingly beautiful, a masterpiece of light and color that was changing with every passing second. "No one expects the sunset to hold still," the nun said softly. "Its beauty is in its vanishing. It does not worry about whether tonight's sunset is as beautiful as last night's. It simply is." She then looked at Mara with profound kindness. "You are not the weaver," she said. "You are the loom. Life is the weaver. Joy, fear, inspiration, and emptiness are all just threads of different colors. You have been trying to control the threads, to weave only with the threads of gold. But a tapestry with only one color has no depth. Your problem is not that you are afraid. The problem is that you believe you should not be." Mara felt the truth of these words settle deep within her bones. The tension in her shoulders began to release. She was not her success. She was not her fear. She was the space through which these things moved. She walked back down the mountain under a sky full of stars. The next morning, she went to her workshop. She took a deep breath and began to weave. She did not try to weave the perfect tapestry. She simply wove what was in her heart that day. The color of her fear, the texture of her anxiety, but also the deep purple of the sunset and the silver of the starlight. The tapestry she created was unlike any she had made before. It was not perfect, but it was honest. It was alive. And in the act of weaving her whole self, not just the good parts, she found her freedom. Mara's story is our story. The friction, the dukkha, is not the royal commission or the fear of failure. It is the clinging to an identity, the resistance to the full spectrum of our human experience. The Buddha's first noble truth points directly to this. Life inevitably contains experiences that are unpleasant: sickness, loss, disappointment. These are part of the landscape. The second noble truth tells us that our suffering arises not from these experiences themselves, but from our craving, our thirst for reality, to be different. Mara was suffering because she was craving to be only the perfect weaver. She was resisting the threads of fear and doubt. This craving is a natural instinct of the untrained mind. We are conditioned to chase pleasure and avoid pain. We build our identities around our successes and strengths and try to hide our vulnerabilities. But this is like trying to build a dam in the middle of a flowing river. The pressure just builds. The Buddha's teaching is a radical invitation to stop building the dam. It is an invitation to see that our craving, our resistance, is the true source of the pressure we feel. When we chase happiness as a permanent state, we are destined for disappointment, because everything is impermanent. wisdom lies in turning toward our experience with a gentle and courageous curiosity. It's about widening our embrace to include all the threads, light and dark. This understanding is profoundly empowering. It means that the key to our peace is not in changing the world outside, but in transforming the view from within. We can't stop the river of life from flowing, but we can learn to navigate it with grace and wisdom, finding our balance not by resisting the current, but by moving with it. To bring this wisdom into your own life, you don't need to be a weaver or a monk. You can start right where you are, in the midst of your daily experience. The first practice is to simply become an observer of the friction in your own mind. When you feel that familiar tightening of anxiety, that flash of irritation, or that pang of disappointment, try not to immediately get lost in the story. Instead, pause. Take one conscious breath, and just for a moment, step back and observe the feeling as if you were a scientist watching a strange weather pattern. Name it gently to yourself. Ah, this is frustration, or this is the feeling of wanting things to be different. This simple act of naming and observing creates a space of awareness. In that space, you are no longer the emotion. You are the one who is aware of the emotion. This is the beginning of freedom. The next step is to get curious about the craving underneath. What is the mind thirsting for in this moment? If you're frustrated in a traffic jam, the craving is for the traffic to disappear, for reality to bend to your schedule. If you're hurt by a friend's comment, the craving is for their words to have been different, for the past to be rewritten. See if you can identify this underlying desire without judging it. See it with the same gentle curiosity you would have for a child who wants it to be sunny on a rainy day. This understanding softens the heart. You don't have to fight the craving. You just have to see it for what it is, a natural but ultimately unskillful strategy of the mind. Finally, practice softening your body. Our mental resistance manifests as physical tension. When you notice that friction, scan your body. Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders hunched? Is your stomach in a knot? Consciously invite these parts of your body to soften. You can't think your way out of resistance, but you can breathe your way through it. As you exhale, imagine the tension gently dissolving. This is not about forcing relaxation. It is a gentle allowing, a physical expression of letting go. By practicing in these small moments, you are retraining your mind. You are teaching it that it is safe to feel the full spectrum of life, that you don't need to resist reality to be at peace. You are learning to be the loom, allowing all the threads of life to be woven into the beautiful, imperfect, and ever-changing tapestry of your being. Let us pause here for a moment. Feel the gentle rhythm of your own breath, a quiet anchor in the flow of time. Allow your body to soften, releasing any tension you might be holding. Let the edges of your day melt into this quiet space of rest. If this journey into stillness resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to Sleepy Monk so we can continue to walk this path together, discovering the peace that simple and radically transformative. It is the teaching of impermanence, or anicca. The universe is in a constant state of flux. Nothing is static. Not the mountains, not the stars, not our bodies, and not our thoughts. Everything that arises will eventually pass away. We often experience this truth as a source of anxiety. We fear loss, we grieve change, and we desperately try to hold on to moments of happiness as if they were solid objects. But the Buddha taught that our suffering comes not from the fact of change, but from our resistance to it. The teaching of impermanence is not a lament. It is a gateway to freedom. When we learn to stop fighting the flow of life and instead embrace its dynamic, ever-changing nature, we discover a joy that is deeper and more resilient than any fleeting pleasure. In a valley nestled between two great mountains, there lived a master potter. Her name was Isara, and her work was renowned throughout the land for its exquisite beauty and its near-perfect forms. Her bowls were so finely crafted that they seemed to hum with a life of their own. People would travel for days to acquire one of her pieces, believing that its perfection would bring a sense of order and peace to their homes. A young apprentice named Kyle came to study with her. Kyle was talented but impatient. He was obsessed with creating a perfect pot, one with no flaws, no imperfections, a masterpiece that would last forever. He would work for hours on a single vessel, his brow furrowed in concentration. But every time, just as he thought he had achieved perfection, he would find a tiny flaw, a slight asymmetry, a minuscule bubble in the glaze, a faint tremor from his own hand. In frustration, he would smash the pot and begin again, his workshop floor littered with the shards of his own high expectations. One afternoon, after a particularly frustrating day, Kyle watched as Isara sat at her wheel. She worked with a joyful ease, her hands moving with the clay as if in a dance. She crafted a beautiful, elegant vase, but as she was lifting it from the wheel, her hand slipped, and a deep, jagged crack appeared down one side. Kyle gasped, expecting her to be devastated, but Isara simply smiled. She took a small brush and, instead of discarding the vase, she began to paint a delicate golden lacquer along the line of the crack, transforming the floor into a shimmering vein of gold. She then placed the vase in a special part of her studio, alongside dozens of other pieces, each with its own golden repair. This was the art of kintsugi, the art of embracing breakage and imperfection. You are trying to create a pot that denies its own nature, Isara said to Kale, her voice full of warmth. Clay is of the earth. It is fragile. It is meant to change, to crack, to one day return to dust. To fight this is to fight the clay itself. A pot's life is a journey of transformation. Its cracks tell the story of its journey, of the heat of the kiln, of the hands that held it, perhaps of a fall. They are not signs of failure. They are marks of a life lived. She gestured to the vase with the golden seed. This crack has not made the vase less beautiful. It has made it unique. It has told its story. True beauty, Kale, is not the absence of flaws. It is the loving embrace of them. Kyle looked at his own pile of broken shards, the remnants of his quest for an impossible perfection. He had been trying to create something that stood outside of life, our relationships to remain in a state of perpetual harmony, and our moments of happiness to last forever. We treat life's cracks, our illnesses, our heartbreaks, our failures, as tragedies to be hidden or overcome. But the wisdom of Anika teaches us that these cracks are not mistakes. They are an inevitable and essential part of our journey. The Buddha's teaching on impermanence is a call to see life as it truly is, a continuous, dynamic flow. Everything we can perceive with our senses, from our own thoughts and emotions to the stars in the sky, is in a state of constant transformation. Trying to hold on to any of it is like trying to grasp a handful of water. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Our suffering is the tension in that squeeze. When we are caught in a difficult emotion like sadness or anger, it can feel all-consuming, as if it is a permanent part of our identity. We say, "I am sad," as if sadness is a solid thing that has replaced our true self. But impermanence reminds us that this is an illusion. Sadness is a weather pattern passing through the vast, open sky of our awareness. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. When we can remember this, we can meet our pain with less fear. We can allow it to be there, knowing that it, like everything else, will change. This understanding also revolutionizes our relationship with joy. Instead of clinging to happy moments with a desperate fear of them ending, we can learn to savor them fully with a heart of gratitude. We can appreciate the warmth of the sun on our skin without worrying about the inevitable arrival of clouds. This is the essence of non-attachment. Not a cold detachment, but a loving, wholehearted participation in the dance of life without trying to control the music. This teaching frees us from the tyranny of the past and the anxiety of the future. The past is a collection of moments that have already dissolved. The future is a collection of moments that have not yet arisen. All we ever truly have is this present moment, and this present moment is always fresh, always new, always changing. Peace is found in learning to rest in the dynamic stillness of the now. How can we integrate this profound understanding of impermanence into the fabric of our lives? The practice is not about intellectual understanding, but about direct, felt experience. It begins with the gentle art of paying attention. A simple yet powerful practice is to choose one natural phenomenon and observe it regularly. It could be a tree outside your window, the moon in the night sky, or even a houseplant on your desk. Make a point to look at it each day. Notice the subtle changes. A new leaf unfurling, a flower blooming and then wilting. The way the light hits it differently at different times of day. This practice, done consistently, retrains the mind to see change not as an event, but as the constant, underlying reality of existence. Another practice is to become a curious observer of your own inner world. Sit quietly for a few minutes each day and simply watch the flow of your thoughts and feelings. Don't try to stop them or change them. Imagine you are sitting on the bank of a river, watching leaves and twigs float by. Some thoughts might dark and heavy, others light and fleeting. Just watch them arise, linger for a moment, and then dissolve. Notice that you are not the thoughts, you are the awareness that is watching them. This practice cultivates a spaciousness within you, a quiet center that is untouched by the constant churn of the mind. You can also practice a letting go meditation. At the end of your day, find a comfortable position and mentally review the events of the day. As you bring each event to mind, a pleasant conversation, a moment of frustration, a task completed, consciously practice letting it go. You can visualize placing it on a leaf and watching it float away down a river, or you can simply say to yourself, "This moment is over. I release it." This is not about erasing your memories, but about loosening your grip on them. It is a way of acknowledging that the past is complete, freeing you to meet the present moment with openness and presence. Finally, bring this awareness into your interactions with others. When you are with a loved one, be fully present. Recognize that this moment is unique and will never come again. This recognition infuses your relationships with a preciousness and a tenderness that are often lost when we take things for granted. When you understand that everything and everyone is impermanent, you naturally begin to love more fully, to forgive more easily, and to appreciate the profound gift of sharing this fleeting journey with others. You learn to honor the cracks in yourself and in those you love as the beautiful golden seams that tell the story of a life fully lived. Let's pause here again just for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the air fill your lungs completely and then release it with a gentle sigh. Feel your body sinking a little deeper into the surface that supports it. Let go of the day. Let go of the need to be anywhere else. You are here in this quiet space, and that is enough. We now turn our attention inward to one of the most subtle and liberating teachings of the Buddha. It is the doctrine of anatta, or not self. This teaching can sound strange or even frightening at first, as it seems to challenge the very foundation of who we believe we are. We live our lives with a strong sense of I, or me, at the center of our experience. An inner commander who is thinking our thoughts, feeling our emotions, and making our decisions. But the Buddha invited us to look for this solid, separate self, and to see if we can actually find it. The teaching of not-self is not a denial of your existence. It is an invitation to discover a far more spacious, interconnected, and joyful way of being.
Rupees. Hello, Rupees. Please, dude, I need this. My mom's kinda homeless. Please, dude, I need this. Yeah. Yo, look at that skilly. Thank you. Whoa. What's that? Whoa.